Now we're moving into the area of what I call rusty gold finds. This is the stuff that, because of the condition and everything, I didn't want to pay a lot for, but I knew that the underlying value was there. Just a matter of finding somebody willing to want to just clean it up and have something on the cheap. So this little drill press vise was there. I knew I didn't want to give more than like $10 for it. Initially, he said he wanted to keep it because he wanted to keep at least one small vise like this. But I had already spotted its exact twin up on the shelf. So I said, well, you have two of them. He says, I do? And then I pointed it out, and I was like, yeah, that one up there. And I said, and that looks like it's in better condition than this one. And he said, oh, yeah, okay then. So then he sold me this one. So I'm not familiar with this name, Eron, E-R-O-N, I think. Don't know, don't care. Nice little handy vise. I've got several of these. Of course, the Palmgren is the original, most popular style, and of course the Palmgren on the, you get the Palmgren with the tilt, and then you've got the Palmgren with the tilt and on the swivel. So, you know, all different variations. This is the very basic one. This is a great little vise. You can slap this right down on your drill press table, slide it around easy, clamp it down. It's got the little V-notch there and a V-notch there for holding little thin pieces or pins. Just a nice little handy thing. This caliper I ended up finding after we had cut the deal on the calipers, and I got to throw it in. It's another one of these Brown & Sharps. And then here's that Helios, there you go. So here's that Helios pouch, Helios Fowler. Couple of rusty V-blocks on the rod. Pretty much rusted to it. Moving a little bit. Gonna take some cleanup. Got the original clamp though, and these are Starrett. Here's a couple of 1, 2, 3 blocks. I do not see any names on them. I'm gonna give somebody a really good deal on those cheap 1, 2, 3 blocks. We've got a planer gauge. This one looks like it might be a Lufkin, but I am not seeing any identification on it actually, unless it's underneath that rust somewhere. And then he had this other one. This is a Starrett 246. Not sure why there is a pin stuck in there. It's junk. A little Starrett 246. And I did find some posts laying around here and there. Here's a little wooden box. Oh, okay, so here's a wooden box with 2 rods that are like brand new. So I'm guessing, oops, there you go, Steve. I'm guessing that that last one there that I thought was a Lufkin, now that I think of it, the Lufkin would be more green, I think, and this is kind of blue. I'm guessing this is an import, and it probably was originally in this case right here, and then fell out and got some rust on it. And this is just badge 981-110. Wait a minute, that sounds like a Mitutoyo number. Yeah, I just verified it. That's what that is. It's a Mitutoyo. And I found one on eBay, and looking at the photographs, it looks like Mitutoyo didn't bother badging or marking this with their name anywhere to indicate that it's a Mitutoyo. But I could tell just by looking at the picture that it is. And also the unique style of these rods, which I think I've got some extra rods. Yeah, here we go. So he had more than one of these apparently. So there's another one. So because that's a dead ringer for that. Now I know that that's a Mitutoyo rod, which it's 2 actually. So it's the 1 inch and a, what is that, a 3 inch? No, rusted. But if you ever come across any of these extension rods that look like this and are wondering, well, now you know, they're Mitutoyo. A sine bar. No name, apparently. And then this was just like a box full of junk that he let me just take what was in there because I bought so much other stuff. There are some scribes in here for height gauges. I bought 2 height gauges from him, which I'm going to show you. Yeah, I know, I bought more height gauges, right? There's a clamp for a height gauge. So there's subscribers for height gauges, clamps for height gauges. There's some other miscellaneous, I don't know, type of stuff in here. Oh, look at this. Another radius gauge. I don't know what the heck that is. Oh, this is one of these blades from these turbines that they they did inspection work on. So this is what a lot of these unusual, you can see now why they ground points on those 436 micrometers, because they were doing a lot of work on this type of stuff. Oh, here's one of these little cutie half-inch, 0 to half-inch micrometers. Whenever I come across these, if I can buy them like for $5 or less, I usually get them just because I think they're kind of neat. I don't know if people collect them or not. Seems like the majority of these that I come across, they tend to be badged with like company names and stuff. This one is a 3M, which I also thought was kind of neat because my sister retired from 3M. This little sucker right here, I think this is part of a more expensive Starrett gauge set. It's the only Starrett planer gauge that Starrett doesn't call it a planer gauge, and it has a different name for it because it can do a lot more stuff and has more setups and doohickeys. And I think that might be from that. So I'm going to set that aside for now. Micrometer wrenches, locating balls, some points for some indicators, thread gauge. Thread gauge. There's a brand new thread gauge in the box. A 1032 thread gauge. Let me get some of this junk out of the way. More rusty gold. That's just a diamond for dressing your grinding wheel. Stick that down on your magnetic chuck and you're good to go. This is a little angle plate. A lot of threaded holes in it for clamping stuff to it. I think, yeah, see, I spotted something on this. I didn't get too excited about it because of all the rust on it, but this has actually just got the gentleman's name on it and the date, 1957. Might clean up all right. An adjustable parallel that doesn't quite have enough rust on it yet to be really, worthy of the Rust Hall of Fame. Yeah, I mean, I could still make out that that's a Starrett, so we got to get, I should probably go throw this outside. This big V-block, it's just one V-block. This style clamp is actually kind of, it's nice. It's a nice design. The clamp doesn't get in the way if you want to put it on its side. Unfortunately, this is also battling for a spot in the Rust Hall of Fame. But figured, I knew he wasn't going to value it at much, so I threw it in the pile. And then this was nice. This actually, these were all just laying on the table with the other stuff. Then he brought me out to the barn to show me something that I'm going to show you at the end of this video. And when I was out there at the barn, I was really like thinking, I don't even want to get involved with that thing. I'm going to leave that there. And then he said, oh, look at that old vise. And he said, oh, you can have that with that if I buy it. And then he threw me a price on that thing. This thing I'm going to show you, I couldn't pass it up because he said $20. And I said, the vise go with it? And he said, yeah. So I figured, hey. So this needs to be cleaned up. But this is actually a commercial made vise. I have another one of these, same company. So this is an Atco, A-T-C-O, which I looked this up, and this is a U.S. maker. I don't remember where they are. I think might even be in Springfield, Massachusetts. Maybe, I don't remember. So a little bit different design of the emblem, so probably made in different years, but this is also an Atco vise. So this once looked like this, if you can believe it. I got one more rusty cream puff to show you before I show you the $20 rusty cream puff that is in the trunk of the car. Oh yeah, not to mention the height gauges, things I don't need, that I have too many of. But here's the rusty cream puff. So this is a tilting sine plate. So a magnetic chuck / sine plate deal. But if we look over here, we can see this is a Magnasine Excello. So this is actually a pretty good brand name. So it's going to need some cleanup. But this is a really nice tool to have for doing precision grinding. You basically, you've got yourself a mag base. If we take something like this, stick it on here, and we flip this lever, that is now give you an idea of the power of that magnet. That's on there pretty good, so we could now, theoretically, we could surface grind on that without it flying across the room. Of course, it's also a sine plate, so if we look underneath here, we've got two precision ground cylinders with a nice coating of rust on them, and what used to be some nice surface down here. And the idea is that you would be able to put your gauge blocks underneath here to set this to very precise angles. So I have one of these in Suburban tool, and these are crazy expensive new. And I think, I want to say if this was not all rusty like this in good shape, I think these still trade for like $200 to $300, even this brand, Excello. So the last one of these to sell on eBay was a Magnasine, Excello Magnasine model B3, and that sold for $300. It was in, much better condition than this one, but it was a B3, which I think is a 3" by 3". So this one must be a B6. Yeah, so this is a B5. And actually, if I look this up as Magnasine, I bet you I'm going to find more. Yeah, so the last B5 to sell on eBay was, it's $300 with the line through it. So I don't know if that means it was $300 or best offer and they took a lower price, or if the $300 is what they took. Don't know. Anyways, and then if somebody's currently got one they want over $500 for used, but it's clean as a whistle. So point is, this is definitely something that's going to be worth cleaning up, and I'm probably only into this for like $20. All right, so before I show you this last piece of, before I show you that last piece of rusty gold that I got for $20 out in the barn, I got two other items here, larger items. I really don't like buying these anymore because I've got quite a few of them, and they're kind of a pain to ship, so reselling them is not that really easy. But this one, I couldn't resist because I got a really good deal on it. I don't remember exactly what I paid for it, but I'm sure it wasn't a lot. Otherwise, I wouldn't have bought it. It does have some surface rust on it. But what's interesting to this is a Master vernier height gauge. So this is model 254 Master vernier height gauge. So I've got a couple of the Starrett regular height gauges, vernier height gauges. But they're not the Master versions, I don't think, and I think that's why they're not as stout as this thing is. This thing is, it's really got some heft to it. You can see the thickness of the bar here, even though it is actually hollow in the back, because it actually has a screw that is actually activated by this screw and this knob on the bottom, which makes it kind of cool. So it gives you really fine control. So you can't even see it moving because it's so such a small movement. But when I turn this, it's actually turning this screw. And then you can disengage this from the screw. So if you want to do it like a quick move, so this is a little stiff, but basically when you push this lever over, right here like this, you push this lever over, it disengages the screw thread and allows you to move this up and down. And then of course once it's over in that position, then it's locked back into the thread for very precise movement. Box has got a little bit of overspray on it. The veneer is damaged here a little bit. It's got these interesting handles in the side, which I've never seen in one of these boxes before, to help you lift it. And I also got this height gauge, but this is a Mitutoyo dial indicator style height gauge. And I've never seen one that had this plastic cover on it like this. Genuine Mitutoyo cover, so that's kind of neat. So this seems to work perfectly fine. So it's dirty, but other than that, everything seems to be in good order. I'll probably resell that one because I already have one. And this is the final item. This is the cream puff that I scored for 20 bucks out of the barn. I got this for 20 bucks and I was on the fence about getting it, and then I spotted that grinding vise, that Atco grinding vise that I showed earlier, and he said I could have that for free if I bought this. So anyways, this is a bench center. It's kind of a neat early one. It's got kind of an Art Deco look to it, and it may look somewhat familiar because I featured in a pic a few months ago. I had bought one out of a machine shop, and I just thought it was the coolest thing, so I had to give the 50 bucks for it. So I have actually two of these now, same exact brand, which is Delta Milwaukee. It's actually got a label right here. So Delta Milwaukee, I don't know if that has any relationship at all to the Delta Rockwell company or whatever, but it's a bench center. So basically it's for checking straightness, concentricity of shafts and things like that is what it's really good for. Inspection work. It's got these two tailstocks that move on this surface, and then you've got centers. So it's made to hold a rod between centers. This has got a half center on this side, which I don't know if the other one has a half center or not. I'm not sure if that's got a Morse taper to it and that can be changed, or what the deal is on that. That's the fixed one. On this side, the center is actually, it moves in and out, and it's spring loaded. This one was completely rusted, but I did get it to move a little bit, so I'm going to have to take this apart, clean it all, and put it back together. In fact, this one was so rusted that there's supposed to be a handle here, and the end of the handle is broken off in there. You can actually see that the way this worked was there was a handle that you would pull down on the handle, and that would pull this back so you could put the next part in and then release it, and the spring tension would bring this back. So it's a quick release. So I'm going to need to take care of that. This was stuck, but I've got this moving now. So if I move it over where it's been sitting its entire life, you can kind of get an idea of what the surface is supposed to look like. And then the other thing that's missing is there's a third part on the other one that I have, which is, it's basically a post on a cross piece that you can clamp into position, and that post is for holding a dial indicator. So I figured this is still usable this way. All you need to do really is take a magnetic indicator post or holder like this and stick it right on there like that, and you're good to go. So I'm going to give somebody a good deal on this thing. I'll clean it up a little bit, but not too much, and see if I can't find somebody who might want to have one of these in their shop. It's handy. So I figure here's a good example of, you know, something you could do with a bench center like this. This is a keyless chuck that I got at a pick a little while ago, and I got a pair of them, and they're identical. They're both Italian-made knockoffs of Albrecht chucks. But I had noticed that this one had been marked with a wax pencil, bent. So this clearly somebody had hit this or dropped it and bent the shank a little bit so it doesn't run true. So I was just curious, well, I wonder how it is compared to this one. Now, I could just throw it in the milling machine and you know, chuck a dowel pin in there and rotate it with an indicator on the dowel pin, but just do it on the bench center here. And I got my half thou interrapid indicator on here, so that's not bad at all, considering. Which, you know, there's some imperfections on the shank on this too. It's not perfect. So now I'll just pop this back, Again, that's supposed to move a lot freer than it does. And I gotta take this tape off of here. I already had this marked with the buyer's name. I already sold this for 10 bucks as is. So now this is pretty much the same setup, and this one is about twice as far out as that previous one. And now, just for the heck of it, I threw in one of my old Albrecht chucks, and just to show that, you know, this is actually a pretty accurate test. The Albrecht, as old as this is and as nasty looking as it is, it's running perfectly true. Needle's not even moving. Alright, so I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please hit the like button and consider subscribing. I'd like to just make a quick note right here. In future upcoming episodes, I'm going to kind of change up the format on these again. The reason is that just the amount of time it takes for me to get through these videos and get them all edited and get them up. It takes a while, and I got other projects I'd like to be working on instead. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start, instead of having like an entire flea market finds episode dedicated to like one weekend or one pick at an estate sale or something like that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop showing a lot of the redundant stuff that I get, you know, deals on dial calipers and micrometers and stuff like that. In order to qualify to be in one of my flea market finds videos in the future, the deal's going to have to be either like a crazy good deal or something kind of unusual that you don't come across, or, you know, maybe more collectible, stuff of that nature. So hopefully that'll make them a little bit more interesting. All right, but until then, take care.